Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with myself, Kate Tracy, alongside Andrew Mann and Dave Young to look ahead to Saturday's action from Haydock, Kempton and Ascot as well. So luckily we have the weather at Kempton this weekend because goodness knows what rain has hit any of these tracks for now and exactly what we're going to be expecting. But last week though, the lads had a good time of things again in the 130 at Beverley. Andrew had Glistening Knights, who finished third at 9-1. In the 150 at Sandown, Dave had Elaria Sand, who finished third at 12-1. 225 Sandown, Dave had Skellet, who finished third at 18-1. 240 Chester, Dave had Alonzi, who won at 4-1. In the 3 o'clock at Sandown, Dave had Sadad, who won at 3-1. And in the 335 at Sandown, of course, this was a race that changed complexion massively with Publish not taking up the engagement. So prices were all over the shop, plenty selected. But of course, the lads did give a really, really good shout out to the winner and the second in what was such a tight finish as well. Cracking race that we had for that contest. Hopefully some more cracking finishes again this weekend. And we begin with the 115 at Haydock. This is the Group 3 Superior Mile Stakes, 3-year-olds and over a mile. 100 to 30 joint favourites that we've got in this one, Dave, between Ice Max and Make Me King. So who wins?
Well, it's a tricky one to get us off to start with, I think, Kate. We've got 9 races, I'll say it, most of the weeks. There might be betting opportunities to come, but it's a fascinating race when you start digging into things because got a few nice horses in here. Prague was probably a little bit unlucky in the race last year when Holloway Boy won and didn't quite get the run of the race, did Prague, but like bounced back straight after and won. Just don't know if the horse is in the same sort of form, but you'd imagine that the trainers may be coming back for redemption in a race like this. But I don't know, 6-1 about him is probably skinny enough. The two towards the head of the market as well, you can make cases for them, but I'm just not overly sold on them. It's a tricky race for me to like really whittle down to something. The two that I found the most interesting in this race were the 2 horses that have had just 2 starts. So one of those is Snowmaster for Tom Dascombe, overcome quite a long layoff to win well last time. So clearly has had some sort of niggle and setback, but looked in fine form there. And you would expect the horse to improve massively after like another 22 days off to take a big step forward. On the ratings that you've got in there are a few horses like Ice Max, Make Me a King, even Prague that are maybe like a stone clear of this horse, but does get a few pounds weight for age. And I don't think those horses are potentially going to be able to run up to their number. So I think Snowmaster's got a bit of a squeak, about a 10-1 poke. That might be one that I'll split a stake with. The other horse was Zeus Olympios. So Carl Burke's got 2 runners in this race. I think won the race last year with Holloway Boy. Clifford Lee rides Ice Max. It's the same owner people that have got Zeus Olympios as well. He's only had the 2 starts, but Will Buick's been booked to ride. And I know it's a group race and Will Buick might just like to ride for the sake of riding, but I don't think Zeus Olympios with the 2 runs it's had would be the type of horse that would be in here to set the pace or to be there as a like second fiddle to Ice Max. I think he's there running off his own merit, and his run last time out was seriously impressive. I think there's a race in this instance where I think it's worth chancing a couple of those prices. So that, yeah, the 2 lightly raced horses, Snowmaster and Zeus Olympios, one's 10-1, one's 16-1. I'll split small stakes across those pair. There have been winners of this race that haven't had that many runs, so it's not exactly like we're bucking any trends doing it. The only thing it would be bucking is the last 10 winners have all been 8-1 or shorter. So they are a bit bigger price, but maybe we're due one.
Yes, exactly like I say, maybe we'll do a bigger price one, or Marcus Ford comes in for either Snowmaster or Zeus Olympios. Who knows then? But 10-1 and 16-1 for 2 unbeaten colts from 2 starts so far is the way that Dave is playing this. Andrew, how are you playing it?
Yeah, good race. This is a tricky one because you look at the last 10 renewals, 8 of the winners made the running or race prominently. Only 2 were held up, but there is a lot of pace in the race. So we think if the pace can hold up, or do we need to be with somebody who's going to come from the rear of the field? A prep race in handicap or listed companies being a good pointer to the winner. There's only been 9 years when somebody's fitted the bill. 6 times the winner came from that small group of horses. Only 16 qualifiers. Good profit of £16.38 to a £1 level stake. Double your money on turnover. And horses who prepped in listed or handicap company and finished in the top 3 last time out. 9 qualifiers in the past 10 renewals. 6 of them won. So that's a pretty interesting stat. Now there's qualifiers this year. Sweet Francais, who's 2 from 2 at the track. Excellent Believe for Jack Shannon, who's been backed from 16s into 10 since the final next came out. And Balmacara, though that one's yet to win away from Doncaster and might sulk at getting taken on for the lead. So given the pace angle, I thought maybe Excellent Believe for Tom Marquardt and Jack Shannon could be the one here. Stall 3 should be able to just track the pace and pounce late with a bit of luck.
And at 10-1 as well for Excellent Belief. So we are hoping for some sort of market moves behind our 3 selections. Or I say ours, Dave and Andrew's 3 selections there, in the hope that one of those might just figure into the trends there for the 8-1 or unders. Right, now we move on to the 135 at Kempton, to the all-weather for the Group 3 September Stakes. 3-year-olds and over a mile for Kalpana. Very much a hot pot in here at 4-7, Andrew. So you're trying to get a beat or not?
Yeah, it's understandable why she's that sort of price. She won the race last year by almost 5 lengths. She's back down in class after running in Group 1 company in her 3 starts this season. But there's an interesting stat regarding entires. Entire horses, i.e. male horses who haven't been gelded age 6 or older, 4 from 5 in the past 10 years. And that brings in Giavellotto, who's 2 from 2 on the all-weather. Patient Ride was no help when 3rd in the Coronation Cup last time out. And I thought he was the one with Oisin Murphy riding for Marco Botti back on the all-weather. And what I thought was a match, 7-4 on and 3-1. I'll take the 3-1 Giavellotto, please.
Yeah, like I say, that was a nice angle as well. And that is something that the vast majority of people, certainly including me, would not have noticed. So interesting.
That's because you've got a life outside of horse racing form, haven't you? And you don't spend hours going down the rabbit hole with silly things like that.
No, I really don't. Well, no, the only light I have outside of horse racing is football. So more sport, more work, just the different aspect to it. But no, I really don't. So no, I'm very, very impressed by that indeed. Dave, do you have a similar stat for me?
No, I think Kalpana's a beast, isn't she? She's yet to sort of, don't want to say live up to the promise that she showed last year, but she's been campaigned all season with the arc in mind, doesn't she? This is a lovely little stepping stone. She was good Ascot last time. Like, in my mind, she just wins this. But when you know you've got a horse that's prepping for something else, not that anything should happen in this race, but I don't know if she gets congestion or they're having to ride her a bit harder than they need to, then they're not going to be overly fussed about losing this race if they need to, because like I say, all eyes are on the arc. So 4-7 about is probably about fair. Where Andrew's mentioned Giavellotto, like, it is a match between the two of them. I think it's easy to say that. We did have a sponsor before, Bet365, where we talk about their position payout. We have markets without favourites and things as well. But on their position payout, because some opportunities I think can look as all right value, you can get basically paid 6-4 back in Giavellotto. If the horse comes second, you'll get your £10 back. If the horse wins, you'll get paid at 6-4. So I think in that instance, it's between the two of them. Almost feels like a risk-free bet to maybe get a little return on investment. So that might be the way to play it. But for the purpose of tipping on the show, because we want to boom the winners next week, Kalpana will win.
There you go then. Yeah, Kalpana hopefully to win that, and we will be discussing it next week then in the Group 3 September Stakes. Right, onto the 150 at Haydock now, the listed Ascendant Stakes for the 2-year-olds over a mile. Here we go. Publish is back for more then after missing his Sandown engagement last week. So he takes up this one, Dave. We're going to get to see him this time.
Who knows if he'll take up this engagement? That's the million-dollar question at this stage, isn't it? But I wonder with trainers, because obviously they didn't run last time because the ground was so bad. Haydock at the moment officially reported as good. Look, me and Andrew were talking about the Taft Packs report this morning before, waiting to see what sort of damage the rain's done to the track today. Damage is the wrong word there, because it's obviously not actually damaging the track. It's just softening the conditions. But my gut feel would say to me, because this is a bit of an easier race, the quick turnaround, they've obviously looked at this for Publish and think he'll run regardless, I would say, which to my mind could be a little bit of a negative. The one horse I thought in here that was a really good horse anyway is Bo Echo. Was incredibly impressive on debut at Newbury. Now the runner-up has won since, I think it's officially rated 80. So when you're cantering and all over a horse like that, people might argue and say, well, it's only beaten an 80 rated horse, but they're youngsters, aren't they? Beating a horse that's capable of running to 80 already, and honestly did canter all over him. Now he's going to be bred, I think, to look like he's going to handle this sort of ground if it does ease up a little bit anyway, but it would be fine if it stays on the good side. And as much as we talked about Publish last time having a bit of a chance, we did all put up horses against the horse to win in that particular race anyway. I know there was a lot of hype with the ownership to do with Field of Gold and things like that as well, and there's no doubt that Publish has got the potential, but I liked the first one of Publish. I didn't like the second. The fact that the horse has now had the 3 spins, or was supposed to be having the 3 spins at the same track in Sandown. Haydock's a very different sort of test for the horse, whereas Newbury for Bo Echo, he made his debut coming here, looks like a much more conventional route. So I'd be fairly confident at the prices. 5-2 Bo Echo is generous. I just hope that we do see Publish, because otherwise his price will collapse with a massive rule 4 and he'll be short. But especially if Publish stands his ground, Bo Echo would rate one of my stronger selections this week, I'd say.
Oh, interesting then. At 5-2 at the time of recording, Bo Echo. But yeah, again, a lot of this race, Andrew, is revolving around Publish. Will he run in this one rather than, of course, Sandown last weekend when he came out and he just sent the whole market into meltdown at that point? He's 6-4 heading the way, though.
Yeah, when I started studying these cards, I was thinking it's going to be soft. It's Haydock, they've chucked water on. The Norwegian website was saying there's going to be plenty of rain starting about, well, but they missed the thunderstorms yesterday. I think they were due about 8 or 9 mil starting from midday today. That's been downgraded to about 1 millimeter now. We've just had the first race there. It didn't, I mean, to the eye, it didn't look that soft. I've not seen the times yet, so it might not be that bad. So yeah, and I didn't have a clue about this race before I just came up with all that. I still don't now, but I think given the forecast has been downgraded rain-wise, I think it's probably going to be published. But I don't have a strong opinion in the race.
Yeah, so that's interesting though, isn't it? With all of the rain that the whole country has been hit by in the last couple of days, sod's law that the one place that may not get it as bad as we thought would be Haydock, wouldn't it? It's like the Uno Reverso card that it pulls on us every single time. But hopefully the ground won't be that desperate anyway, because we want some proper racing, and Publish will then take up this engagement. Right, 2:05 at Kempton. Now this is the London Miles Series final handicap, which is, of course, a series final for the 3-year-olds and over a mile. 4-1 the field. Sky Safari it is heading the way, this filly, who clearly loves the all-weather, Andrew.
Yeah, this is a cracking race. I love this race every year. 3-year-olds don't do particularly well. I think they're north from 30 in the past 10 years. We've only got one of them. That's Paul Ramsey. He was a bit of an eye-catcher at Chester last time. He was very well back last week. He was a front runner drawn low. You thought, well, with the ground on the fast side and the rail at its innermost, all you've got to do is make the running joke fan. He decided to sit about 4th or 5th, and then came through to finish a close-up 4th. So that was an odd ride. Given the age profile, his age, I think I'll leave him alone here. What you want to be with historically is geldings aged 4 or 5. They've won the last 10 renewals. You backed all 71 qualifiers, you'd have made over 30 quid to a pound at SP. At Betfair SP, that's almost £66. Now, there's a bit of an odd stat. You think, oh, Kempton, 1 mile, you probably want to be more towards the inside, maybe drawn, middle to low. But those drawn very high have done really well in this race. And if you back the 4- and 5-year-old geldings drawn in stall 12 or higher, 6 of the 10 winners from just 18 bets, a profit of £60.50 at SP, over 90 quid at Betfair SP. And there's 2 qualifiers. Cogitate for stall 12, but he's an all-weather maiden. I'd rather back horses with all-weather winning form. So I'll keep going down on the Superposition from stall 14. Only 7th at Yarmouth last time, but it's 0 from 7 on the grass. 1 mile on the all-weather, 3 runs have produced 2 wins and a second to Godwinson at Newcastle. He's 1 from 1 at Kempton. So yeah, coming out of stall 13, Superposition for me.
There you go, at 10-1 as well. So a nice price of that course and distance winning form to his name for Andrew. Dave.
Yeah, good case made by Andrew there. Interested with some of the stats that Andrew say, because I like to throw them out there too, but if they don't suit my horse, then I don't want to talk about them so much. And Andrew's talked about the gelding part of it as well. The 2 horses that I was going to side with, just to be a bit quicker on this one, were both the Richard Hannon trained runners. I'll start with Mr. Baloo's a bigger price. Now, he is a colt. He's drawn in 14, so where Andrew's talked about like potentially like a gelding's better, but then like a high draw's good, I would say the 2 things might negate the difference between that the facts for this horse. And it is a very good horse on the all-weather. Loads of these you would sort of class as all-weather specialists. The Kempton form figures for Mr. Baloo as well, and 9-1-1-6-4-3. The first run was back at 6 furlongs in 2023, so we can ignore that. And the 6th and 4th efforts were both at 7 furlongs. So at a mile at Kempton, it's 1-1-3. This does require a career best off a mark of 92, but wasn't beaten far off of 90 earlier this season. The first 2 career wins for this horse as well, although the more recent wins have been sort of earlier in the year. First 2 career wins did come in September and October, so I think this time of year might still be okay. I like the claimer on board. I talked about him last week, didn't know too much about him, but he got Witch Hunter in a really nice position early on, but we saw with Chester, unless you were at the front and on the rail, you had no chance last week. So yeah, I think the horse has got a bit of a chance. Mr. Baloo, a better chance on the 16-1 would dictate anyway. And then Local Hero, like you'd say, the first string for Richard Hannon with Sean Levy on board, has been gelded, so just about ticks that box for Andrew's mention there. Since his previous start, he's got some back form at this track though to suggest that he's miles better than his mark of 86. Obviously, you're having to trust that the gelding operation is going to make a bit of a difference to the form, but 8-1 about that horse looks like there's compensation in the price. And the other interesting thing to mention with the Richard Hannon ones is he won this race in 2021 with a favourite, so that's better for his shorter price chance. But when he won it in 2018, it was with a 20-1 sort of outsider. So I'm happy to play the pair at the prices they are. But this is a nice, deep, competitive race, and may the best horse win.
Yeah, and they were both drawn high, weren't they? As winners 12 and 14, I think.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blue is in 14, and
yeah, don't say Local Hero's drawing
no,
one. No one needs
I've
to
just
know
seen
that.
Local Hero is in 1. There you go. Well, either end then, but the Richard Hannon pair for Dave in at 205 at Kempton. The 225 at Haydock is a handicap for the 3-year-olds over a mile 6. Now, Valiancy heading the way at 4-1 in those first time cheek pieces. But again, Dave, we say it every week at the minute, it feels like. These races aren't getting much easier.
No, and it's almost like national hunt, isn't it? We've got loads of races at 1 mile 6 furlongs, a couple at 1 mile 4 as well. I like it. It's nice for the flat races though, because you sort of have less excuses when they're over a further distance, for all that jockeys might get boxed in, or draws can still play a factor at certain tracks. But I mean, Haydock, I feel like it's normally quite fine no matter where you are, unless there's a massive bias because of the sort of weather and things like that. Valiancy, for me, I'm sort of almost fed up of giving the horse excuses, and the cheap pieces would be something that people would think, okay, that's going to bring about the bit of improvement that looked like the horse was going to make before, but I'm just not sold. Sometimes you can look at a horse and think to it, there's a definite load more improvement to come with the horse. I'm starting to feel like Valiancy maybe he's just not as good as he maybe looked, but the trainer will know better than I do, and he'll probably do quite well with first time cheap pieces, although I haven't put the stats in there. I know he did it with, was it the Reverend or something before when he was a youngster, because he wasn't really sort of showing his full potential, and the cheap pieces went on him to do it, and then they get thrown off after. So yeah, Valiancy probably does deserve to be favourite. Circus of Rome and Gran's Descans were the two that I looked at from their last race though. Circus of Rome looked like a winner with loads and loads and loads in hand, but the handicapper thought the same as well, because he gave him an £11 hike for that performance, which I thought was a bit excessive. Gran Descans, who was behind the horse, only got £2 rise, so he's £9 better off now. And while Circus of Rome looks like the step up in trip's going to suit that horse too, I think Gran Descans probably will be suited by the step up as well. And I think the other thing that's worth noting with those, especially with the form from all weather switching onto turf now, Circus of Rome clearly loves the all weather 2 from 2 this season on that, whereas Gran Descans was having his first run on the all weather, whereas the sort of turf form looks better. So again, that £9 swing between the two of those, this extra step up in trip for the horse, and Will Buick being on board is obviously worth a few pounds for anyone. I thought he was the one to play, about 5-1, but it's a deep enough race. So I'm keen to hear Andrew's thoughts on this one.
There you go, then, nicely teed up. But yeah, it is a deep race, Andrew, isn't it? So he's siding with.
I was going to take on the head of the market. I can leave Valiancy alone in the cheap pieces. Circus of Rome as well. Grand Descans, Harry Charlton's form is not exactly earth-shattering at the moment. The angle I like with this race is to back horses who ran in the Melrose Handicap at York last time. In the past 10 years, 17 runners have done so. 5 of those won, profit of £10.50. Now, 3 of them fit the bill. One of them was, I was going to tip up at a huge price, Love Talk for Grant Chua, because she's just got to have soft or heavy going. But given the revised downwards quantity of rain now, I'd worry about her coping with the ground. She was 9th in the Melrose, went 80-1. That was a good effort, given the given the price she was. I put her up as an each-way bet when she was 4th at Carlisle in listed company early this season on soft ground. That was over 7 furlongs. And that's obviously well on the short side, but I thought the ground, the stiff track, might compensate. She might just sneak 3rd place behind Sakara Sands, as it was. Her 33-1 same owners, Glamis Road, just got that ahead of her. So she's got the form in the mud, but it looks like she's not going to get conditions now. So the other 2, Fantasy World and Polestar. So both ran well in the Melrose, finishing 5th and 6th. I think I'll prepare and do the reverse forecast.
Oh, nicely done. 13-2 and 9-1 as well, about the price of those two, with that Melrose form line then to hopefully come to the fore again in that 225 at Haydock. Right, onto the 240 at Ascot now. The Ascot handicap, 3 odds and over 7 furlongs. That's specialist trip. 5-1 the field that we've got to go at in this one. Native Warrior it is who heads away for Carl Buck and Jamie Spencer. So, Andrew, who wins?
Yeah, it's funny race this because the obligatory gamble on Acadian Thunder has taken place already. This went off. It was a ridiculous price in the Bunbury Cup, and then finished well beaten. This has not been a race for 3-year-olds. 1 from 29 in the past 10 years, and again non-geldings, Entires, mares, fillies, colts, 0 from 33 in the past 10 years, and bizarre, well, say bizarre, quite strangely for a big 7 furlong Ascot handicap, it's not been a race where you want to come from off the pace. A lot of the winners have made the running. I think it's something like 5 in the past 10 years have pretty much made all. So I was quite interested in the chances of Afentiko from stall 18, the Oliver Cole runner. Because he's a front runner with several hold-up horses around him. Certainly the 2 between him and the rail and the 2 on his immediate outside all tend to come from off the pace. So he should be first to that near side rail if indeed that is the place to be. Now, there was bits of money around for him last time out in the Golden Mile at Glorious Goodwood, but that stall 22 draw, while looking like it might be an advantage on one day, was not the next day, and he ended up just having 0 chance from where he was drawn. So the time before that, he ran quite well in the Royal Hunt Cup. So the Britannia Stakes, not the Royal Hunt Cup, behind Arabian Story, finishing 11th, making the running. So if he just pings out, gets that near side rail first, then he could go all right. And he's got form with cut in the ground. Of the others, there's a couple I like that are drawn very low. So Thunder Roar was one I wrote up in Racing and Football Outlook this week. He was scratched from stall 9 at Chester last weekend, but I think it was a genuine unsuitable ground rather than a wide draw scratching, because he's got to have soft ground. It is soft at Ascot. His last 3 wins have come in October on ground described as soft or heavy. The last 2 of those on straight courses. Now he's actually entered here over a mile on Friday, which is tomorrow. But he has, last season he won after a 2-day break, came out again. So he could conceivably run in both races. So if those sneaky punters might want to watch the races in tomorrow, and then if he runs well, jump on the 33-1 available for Saturday's race before the bookmakers can adjust to that. But I don't recommend such sneaky behaviour. And the other one at a big price as well is Mirabeau for Dominic French-Davis, who again it's all sort of form in the mud. Last year won in October and in September, both times on officially soft ground. But it's just whether those stall 1 for Thunder Roar and stall 2 for Mirabeau is any good. So, but I'll probably just, for this video, I'll put up Afentiko as my selection.
At 20-1 as well. So, like you say, with that higher draw than in 18 for Afentiko. But it is interesting about Thunder Roar and Mirabeau, though, both at 33-1 in here as well. Do watch out for a few of those double entries and potentially. Dave, who's siding with?
Oh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a like a lovely race. I do like all the races at Ascot. Telemark, a stiff 7 furlongs at Ascot on slow ground, feels like that's the makeup for this horse to run really, really well. Last win came in September last season on soft ground off a £1 lower mark, I think it was. We've got Warren Fentyman taking £5 off. I think there's loads to like with the yard amongst the winners at the moment. Mentioning Warren Fentyman taking some weight off, 6 of the last 10 have been ridden by claiming jockeys, including the last 2 races. We've only got 3 in this race. There's Kings Lynn, obviously has to have a mention on the show.
Obviously.
Ross Collin, who did win a couple of starts back and then was beaten last time, but it's another horse that's been supported when it runs at Goodwood. And then there's another one in here as well, Telemark, which I've obviously mentioned. They're the 3 for your tri-cast probably. I do need to give a mention to Native Warrior though, because I know he is installed as the favourite, but there's a line of form between him and Telemark when they ran at Newcastle. I think it was last time out for Telemark maybe but it was not the last run for Native Warrior. That was a couple of starts back for him. So again, we talk about all weather form, no good on the turf. There are reasons to see why they could switch. £4 worse off is Native Warrior this time round, but you go back to his Britannia run last year when he was first in his group of 10, finishing third. Like, he does definitely like this track. Jamie Spencer might just be the type of jockey that would suit a horse like this as well. I know Andrew's talked about the fact that front running horses have had a better record in here, but it is already soft at Ascot. It might be tested enough that maybe something could come from the back. So I do massively respect Native Warrior in here, but price is probably about where it should be. He might be one for the little feel for each way bet, but I think there's enough of a case to be made for Telemark, especially while he's 14 to 1 with 5 places up for grabs, to suggest that he is the one to play in this race. So Telemark for me.
At 14 to 1 for the Crisfords and Warren Fenton, taking £5 off his back as well. Onto the 3 o'clock at Haydock now. The Old Borough Cup handicap, 0 to 105 contest, 3-year-olds and over a mile 6. So again, we've got one of those marathon distances again, Dave, for you to go at in this one. 9 to 2 the field, the Reverend for William Haggis, Tom Marquand, and of course, Pony Bloom is heading the way in this one. So does he win, or are you looking elsewhere?
I don't know. I definitely think he's got a proper chance in here. It's interesting that Tom Marquand's back on board, rode him his penultimate start. I don't think it sort of rode him as well as maybe some other jockeys had, and that is me being very, very critical. But you know, you have records of horses that win under certain jockeys, and sometimes they don't win on others. Even the best jockey sometimes might not suit a type of a horse. But the Reverend is real good, and he won. I think it's the next race we'll come on to at Ascot. He won that last year for William Haggis, but. Again, his probably prices are sort of like his chances covered in his price. I do respect him, but maybe some of these ones at the front of the market I'm talking about, they're all sort of 4, 5 to 1. Maybe I'll stick a few of them in like a Trixie, and then there's ones at bigger prices I'd rather play. Because in this race, I think I would rather take the chance on Master Builder. He was good at Haydock last year over course and distance when he ran in the sort of 3-year-old version of this race. He's just one of those types of horses that hasn't necessarily come to hand yet, but last season, it's just the time of year of David Manusio, and then the horses start to pick up. I just wonder whether this has been a little bit of a target for the horse, and they're not fussed about what's happened with him before that. He's just not in the same sort of form at the moment, but I think there's reason to think that there's reason to expect why that is the case. Like I say, progressed last year, and I can't get his performance out of my mind from last year when he was well backed as well. He's been put in at 12 to 1 top price here with 5 places up for grabs. Like I say, he was well backed last year, so if Saturday is a bit of a plan, I think he should just be significantly shorter, and the market will tell us that as well. So as we're recording this at 2:30 on Thursday, Master Builder 12 to 1 looks too generous to not go with.
Yeah, at 12 to 1 as well, again, for that previous course and distance winner for Master Build. Like say 12 to 1 at the time of recording, so do watch that price. Andrew, Old Borough Cup for you.
Yeah, I think as things stand, we're going to take on the Reverend because the ground won't be soft enough for him. From what we've seen of the rain in the last sort of 24 hours. So, he looks short enough at that sort of price, 9 to 2. Stress Free has to be of interest, having won the Ebor. I mean, done better as the British trained runners last time out in the Ebor, finishing 4th overall at 28 to 1. So that certainly makes him of interest. Dancing in Paris is one that I've written up in various columns several times this year. He was very well backed behind Stablemate, won for the Gutter at Newmarket's July Festival into 11 to 4 favouritism for a 13-runner mile 6 handicap. They got the tactics completely wrong, and he raced keenly, went off like a scalded cat under Marco Gianni. Next time out, tactics wrong again, this time under Safi Osborne at Glorious Goodwood, which is Sam Hawkins' race. You had to be up with the pace, and finished second when the winner, the 3rd, the 4th were on the front end throughout. Then went to York last time, and again, they didn't go quick enough for him. Santorini Stars race, the winner say was always on the front end, as was the 3rd. So he just hasn't really had sort of a race run to suit recently. So I think he's going to run a big race, provided it's not too soft. So good ground would be absolutely fine for him. Master Builder, I respect. Dave's made a good case for that one. Align the Stars was semi-interesting, being that he'd got blinkers on for the first time. That used to be a massive negative when it was sort of Mark Johnson, but this year in particular, Charlie Johnson's first in terms of first-time headgear. 7 winners from 34, profit of £32.50. So that's sort of semi-interested on that account. But I'm just looking at Stress-Free and Dancing in Paris at the moment. I'll probably just and Align the Stars. So those are the sort of three I'm heading towards. I'll go Dancing in Paris each way for the purposes of this video, but I haven't made my mind up finally yet.
No, so make sure to head to the column then for that full kind of roundup, I guess. But Stress-Free is currently 8-1 at the time recording, Dancing in Paris at 10s, and Align the Stars at 25-1 as well. Those first time blinkers. Interesting on the Johnson front, the fact that Charlie has switched up the headgear stats then for taking over from his dad. So make sure to note that going forwards. Right, the 3:15 at Ascot Heritage Handicap for the 3-year-olds. Over a mile 4. So again, we have that middle distance to go out here. Lesser runners to go out though, but push for limit 2-1 favourite, Andrew.
Yeah, how come we've only got 7 runners for 100,000 quid handicap on this one Saturday? I think, like Dave's saying, there's a lot of races of the same sort of distance, isn't it? I think race planning needs a bit of a shake-up. Yeah,
doesn't it, Josh? You're preaching to the choir, trust me.
Stat-wise, this is usually one for the lower weights. In the past 10 years, if you backed everything 7th or lower in the weights, you'd have found 7 winners from 41 bets, made a profit of over £21. Because we've only got 1 this time with the 7 runners, that's top team. Another angle as well is horses with only 1 previous turf win, so the handicapper hasn't perhaps got a hold of them. So 7 of the last 10 winners had only won once on turf previously. There's 3 qualifiers. Daiquiri Bay, who we mentioned recently when running in the Melrose at York. He did better the prominent races that day. That was a really good run. And so he's on my short list. Push the Limits, the favourite. And Too Soon, blinkered first time for Gary Moore. That's a positive angle for the yard. But I think I'm going to tip an Alan King horse on a Saturday. Sure, I'll be good. No, I'll go with Too Soon. Biggest price in the field. First time blinkers. Won once on turf previously, like 7 of the last 10 winners, and does like the mud. So that sole win came at Epsom around about this time, in September of last season. So I think on slower ground for the first time since a 4th in Group 3 company at Newmarket last year in the Zetland Stakes, maybe Too Soon can cause a bit of an upset.
Okay, Too Soon, 16-1 then as the outsider of the field, and another first-time blinker angle to go in on as well for Andrew. Dave, who'd you like?
Like Andrew said, there's not enough runners in this race really to get excited about it, but it's obviously a nice race all the same. We mentioned the Reverend, didn't we, in the last race? Took this 12 months ago. That was the 3rd win in 4 years for William Haggas. I found it very difficult to get away from his horse in here, Tenability, who won the Shogo Cup Classic, where we were saying about the names they came up with. Very imaginative. She got Delphine got a bit of a gap like later on, but looked like the horse, had it got the gap sooner, maybe it would have won by further. In the actual distance that the horse won the race after getting the gap, that may not be true, but I think that's 3 wins on the spin for Tenability. The last 2 of them have come over course and distance. And as I say, William Haggas has got previous in this race. So I think this horse, we've got 7 runners in it. There are still a couple of firms that are offering 3 places. Top price 9-2 with previous sponsors, Bet365, with those 3 places up for grabs. Although I think the handicapper might sort of have this horse in the grips, don't see how the horse is out of the frame really. So that'll be the one that I side with. Andrew did mention the Alan King Daiquiri Bay as well. Another one that on the prices at this show at the moment is 9-1 with Bet365. Suspect that horse could go off a bit shorter because he's been running in better races than this and will definitely find it easier, especially the small field. So 9-1 about that horse would be tempting from a betting perspective too. I think that price will collapse. So for the purpose of this show, and the one that I would stick with all the way through to the off would be Tenability.
There you go, at 9-2. Again, a previous course and distance winner in that bid for a 4-timer. Right, we've gone from all of the marathon events and the middle distance events to the main event itself, to the 6 furlong sprint, the Group 3 Betfest Sprint Cup, 3-year-olds and over, and we've got loads of runners to go at in this one. Lazat 2-1 heading the way in this, but of course, we know what a strong hand Wafnan Racing have in this contest. 7-1 bar about the remainder, Dave. So who wins the Group 1?
I mean, it's a good race, isn't it? I really was impressed with what Lazat did at Ascot. Just looked like a really quick horse. And I talked about with Lake Forest in the past about that Rose Hill run last year where he was second there at the trip. But you can't get away from the fact that he was disappointing last time. Just got sort of outsped by a horse in the finish. And, you know, when you see these horses that look like worldies, they go and get beat after. unless there's a genuine reason for it, they probably were flattered on their performance beforehand. So fully respect him. 2 to 1 at the top of the market looks tight enough, especially with Wafnan shoving another couple of horses in here. Now, we probably have started to reach the Wafnan era where they own most horses in training anyway, so it's obviously not too much of a notable thing. They've got multiple chances in there, but Kind of Blue's already been supported in there. So, yeah, I wouldn't see them as positive signs towards Lazat, especially with that run last time out. But obviously, I do respect him. Interesting when I was doing some of the trendy bits for this one, like your winner's profile is going to be probably like a 3 to 6 year old, but 4-year-olds from this century and in the last decades massively perform under expectation. So you kind of want to avoid 4-year-olds, I would suspect, in here. The one that, even regardless of all those stats, I think I really want to side with in terms of being, I think, grossly overpriced is Big Mojo for Mick Appleby. Now, 16 to 1 top price at the time of recording. That's with firms that have got 4 places up for grabs. You can get a general 12 to 1 with 5 places up to grab for 5th of the odds. Wouldn't mind which way I play it, but I think Big Mojo's got a massive chance. Holly Doyle was steering him left, right, and definitely not centre at Ascot when he ran earlier in the season. He looked like an eye catcher there. He almost got redemption the time after. But I just think this is what's going to set it up for him to run really well. Like this track at Haydock is fine for, like I say, the draws, the highs and the lows. I think there's plenty of good horses in here, but I don't think it's a race that there's too many horses that are better than him. I think Lazat's better on figures, but I'm not 100% sure his rating is like officially correct given what he did last time out, and he gets a little bit of weight from that horse, does Big Mojo. We've got Will Buick docked up as well, and I will say on every episode when we suggest a horse with Will Buick, he's got to be worth a few pounds in there. Like, no offense to Holly Doyle, but on that day she just couldn't handle Big Mojo, whereas you'd think that Buick can. And last time out running in the Nunthorpe, there has been a positive step towards this race, winning the Sprint Cup for horses that did not run at 6 furlongs last time out. Big Mojo running that race. Mick Appleby said after the Newmarket run, he's going to go there because his owner is from that sort of area and he wants to win the Nunthorpe. So it wasn't because they thought he had a massive chance. It was more for the fact of, well, we've got a sprinter, let's run him in a sprint race. 6 furlongs is definitely his ideal. But the only thing I'm like a tiny bit, well, I was a tiny bit worried about more so than I am now, was that the ground might start to get a little too testing for him. But there's nothing really to suggest that it would be a major problem with him. There's no real evidence for that. Like I say, the run last time was at 5 furlongs, the wrong trip. But it's not going to be as wet as we thought anyway. So the closer it gets to the race coming around, the more I like the chance of Big Mojo. I definitely have him single figures in here, for all that it might be a bit of a deeper race. But I just think that depth's there, that he's got the ability, and he's shown in the past that he can run and mix it with these types of horses. So he looks like grossly overpriced, especially at 16 to 1 at the time of recording.
Yes, 16 to 1. He has been 12, then he was 16, 14, now 16 to 1 again for Big Mojo, the 3-year-old in here. Andrew, who wins out of the sprinters this time?
Yeah, extremely tricky. The interesting angle for me in this race is the autumn factor. And 9 of the last 10 winners have won in September or October previously, and 10 of the runners, I think, do not qualify on that angle, including the favourite Lazat. Draw wise, it's sort of hard to call. It can sort of switch all over the track. And of those who have shown good form in the autumn before, no half measures is interesting. And I know everyone thought that was a fluke in the July Cup last time. I'm really annoyed because I put her up as one of my 10 to follow for this flat season, and somehow didn't have a penny on when she won 66 to 1 last time out. The track shouldn't be a problem. She's got plenty of, she's run well here before, albeit over 5. She's got Newbury form, similarly flat track. If Store 14 is not too bad, I think she could perhaps prove that Newmarket win was no fluke. But I'm going to come down the side of my mate Alfie. I know as a general rule, Irish sprinters are inferior to British sprinters, who are in turn inferior to Australian sprinters. But this one has had 3 runs in September, October, has won them all, and is very, very consistent. Is rarely, out of the first 4, and if so, it's a sort of 5th, beating a length and a half or something like that. So I thought we might get an each way run for our money here with the JL Lions run. I know JL Lions doesn't have a huge number of winners when he brings horses over to Britain, but if Store 17's an advantage, which it has been on occasions in this race, then maybe at 33 to 1, my mate Alfie can get in the first 4.
33 to 1. I feel like JL Lines is just sending runners over to the UK now just so he can fly his plane over and land on the track. and just like get all the visuals and everything from all of the track cameras there. But otherwise, though, my mate Alfie could well have a very good chance then at 33 to 1. Good case made. Andrew, I'll go back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else?
I did look at the Serenia Stakes, whatever you call it, the 310 at Kempton, the Group 3, which I had assumed would be on the TV, being a Group 3, but it isn't. But there's an interesting last time out winners, just 1 from 23 in the past 10 renewals. Generally speaking, you want a horse who was beaten last time out with 3 to 5 previous runs and drawn in still 6 or low, and Egoli is the sole qualifier this year, so maybe that one, having finished down the field, was in the gym crack last time out, can bounce back.
Okay, we don't have prices at the time of recording, but do watch out then for some to the Egoli. Dave, anything from anywhere else?
Nope, not for me this week.
I'll go back to you then, please, say for your nap of this weekend.
As I said before, the closer it's getting to the race, albeit we're 2 days out, the more I like the chance of Big Mojo. So a nice each-way nap in the last race on ITV for Big Mojo.
Yes, you can definitely have that in the 3:35 then at 16 to 1 for an each way nap. We will allow you that for sure. Andrew, beat that.
I'm going to go Superposition in the London Mile final. Coming out of stall 13, good record on the all weather. Trained by Hapless Ed, but you never know.
But okay, I thought that sentence might have had more kind of promise to it, or more positives back to Ed there, but not to be, though. We will leave it at that point, but we will let that further assessment be dictated by Andrew's nap this weekend. Right, lads, that is everything from us. So a big thank you to the pair of you two for your hard work, as always. A big thank you to you for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, and we'll speak to you again next week.